It's Monday. Welcome, everybody, to the Real Kyper at Noon show. We hope you had a good weekend, a safe weekend for all our friends down south. Of course, I'm here in Canada. We are celebrating today Family Day, which means that we'll do something that we haven't done in a year and get together with our family. I think we've done that plenty. And happy, south of the border, President's Day. Mac, we've got Doug Maclean waiting in the wings. He's going to tell us all about President's Day because he's more American now. Or at least he is.
They're going to change it to President's Impeach Day.
Okay, let's not go there right now. It's Monday. Everybody's feeling good. Episode 78, Mac. And of course, the first thing I noticed looking at you is that new hat. Now, that's not a golf hat, Mac. That's, if I'm not mistaken, Mac, everybody take a good look at the hat Mac's wearing. That is a $130,000 ball cap, isn't it, Mac?
No. Don't.
What is it? Tell everybody what it is.
It's just a Porsche hat, you know.
That's right.
I'm a big fan of the Porsche automobile.
So you go in there.
My good friend Jeff Rimmer gave it to me. He has a couple of Porsches.
You go into the dealership, you buy a Porsche, and that's what they give you, that cap. That's what you get for your 130.
They gave Jill one as well. We got two of them.
Hey, go back and tell them this thing better have fireworks coming out of the back. Okay? For the amount of money I just dropped.
Anyway, it's you're
looking
you
good.
Only
though.
live once. You only live once.
You're looking good. Glad everything's going well for you. We're freezing our asses off almost everywhere in North America, but where you are,
it's crazy. It's like 81 here today. It's been in the 80s all week, and it's the only place in North America that's not freezing. It's strange. It really is. Anyway.
Okay, Mac, we're going to start off Monday by kind of assessing what we think should be the quarter mark. Of course, we're not playing 82 games. So usually for you general managers over the years, Mac, it's been American Thanksgiving if we started in October as a measuring stick for what you really have as a team and where your weaknesses may lie and how you envision your team going into a playoff situation. Are we at that point? We're calling this a little bit of a quarter mark today here to really kind of touch base on everything from who we believe has been the best looking team up until now to maybe our biggest disappointment. But how would you compare this point now to an American Thanksgiving over a regular season?
Well, I think it is. It's a similar thing, except we're in a unique situation. No coaches are getting fired. No GMs are getting fired. We're having no trades because if you trade with an American team, we just saw Dzingel being moved, and he's got a 14-day quarantine that he has to go through. So that was the only trade we've had thus far. So it is a different year. Money's tight amongst owners. They don't want to spend. And how can you blame them with no fans in the building? The losses are going to be enormous this year. The players are taking a haircut. But I thought in the past week we've seen some better games. It looks to me like the teams are starting to get it going a little bit and getting used to it with not having training camp, not having exhibition games. We saw a lot of exhibition games the first few weeks. We got some teams starting to separate themselves. Better hockey for me. I mean, I just think it's improving the style of play. Are they getting sick of playing each other? Are they hating each other? I haven't seen anywhere near enough of that yet.
Well, we've got St. Louis and Arizona, Mac, going into their 7th consecutive game.
Seriously.
Everybody's calling it Game 7 with the split of 3-3. But we'll get into that and so much more here on this Monday. Real Kyper at Noon, Doug Maclean here joining me, Nick Kypreos, Jordan, and and Joe on the wings as well. So we're in for a pretty fun day here, teeing up the start of the week here on President's Day and Family Day up here in Canada. Now, Mac, if we were to assess the top teams, I find it interesting that 3 of them would come out of that old Atlantic division, with Toronto, Boston, and Tampa Bay being really the class of the East right now. If we were to put, 2 divisions together, but Vegas is right there. Outside of that, we've had some COVID issues with some of the top teams that we have in Colorado. And yeah, some teams have played almost 5-6 games less than others. Yeah. So we're going to take this with a grain of salt in terms of moving forward. But where do you want to start when we think about a quarter mark in this abbreviated season as who really stands out as the top team?
Well, I'm going to just throw. I think you've got Boston is without a doubt playing great hockey. You got Toronto, Montreal playing good hockey. You got Tampa Bay playing great hockey despite missing Kucherov, big loss. And you got Vegas, who to me are playing great hockey right now. A shocker in Vegas with Marc-Andre Fleury, the number 1 guy. We don't know where the $25 million man is or what's up. But so, I mean, of those teams, I guess, I'm lots of things about Toronto. I'm liking lots of things about Tampa Bay, Boston, Vegas. To me, and, you've got 5, and then St. Louis and Colorado aren't far off. So, could any of those teams win the Stanley Cup? Yeah. Boston couldn't score their first 4 or 5 games. Now they're getting it going and playing pretty good despite not having Chara and Krug, which has shocked me. Their goaltending has been good. Toronto's big boys have been good.
Okay.
Montreal are a different look. There's so many interesting things going on.
We'll touch on all of them a little deeper for sure.
Well, you give me who's your best
Mac,
team?
I got to go with Vegas. I really do, and for so many reasons, but they just look to me like if I were to pick one team that could find different ways to win, and I think DeBoer touched on this a little bit. I can't argue with him in terms of different styles to win.
Yeah. And
we've seen them over the last few years, Mac. They can play as big and heavy as any team over the last few years. They got a little outmatched on a few reasons against in the bubble for sure. But when we look at Vegas today, we certainly didn't envision Marc-Andre Fleury being 7-1 and having a save percentage of .942 here. This isn't the way it was supposed to kind of play out for Vegas because of the decision that they went with Robin Lehner. We touched on this last week, how bizarre, crazy it is that he's not the guy right now, and he came to the rink and everybody expected him to play and he didn't. And what's going on there? Is it a legit upper body? Is it something deeper that they're not prepared to say publicly? Those are the thoughts going in, but Marc-Andre Fleury's got to be loving this right now.
Well, he's loving it. I'm not sure the owner would be loving it when he's got $25 million tied up in a goaltender that people were not quite sure what the story is. As you said, is it injuries? Is it whatever? Who knows? This guy's been up and down in his career. He's been, good.
Well,
he's been terrific.
Yeah,
he's been bad.
He's been very public with, his mental health issues.
Right.
And been a great advocate in terms of where we are today in society and dealing with it. He's been a strength for other people. No question about that. But right now, whatever the case is with him, and if he needs time, if it's a physical issue, if it's a mental issue, we do know that he'll get all the time that he needs, whatever the case is. But in the meantime, Marc-Andre Fleury's as good as he's ever been in his career right now. He's got that type of run right now where you just leave him alone.
Look, I look at this. So goaltending aside, it's been a great Fleury story. That's what it's really been. And then you say Pietrangelo was the big offseason signing. I look, he played 26 minutes yesterday against Colorado, roughly. Theodore has been, is one of their best young guys on the back end.
Yeah, and he didn't play the other day.
He didn't play. But you look at their top 10 forwards. Is there a top 10 forward group from number 1 to number 10 as good as the Vegas Golden Knights? And it starts with Stone, and it goes to, Marchessault had 2 or 3 unbelievable looks last night. Carlson is still a good player. Riley Smith is still a good player. They go on and on here. Cody Glass, a first-round pick, has stepped in. For me, as a top 10 forward group, they are as good as anybody in the league. And they play hard. They play physical when they have to. They play skill when they have to. Hey, they're a good team right now. They're a good team. And they could very easily be today the favorite to win the Stanley Cup. But I'm going to have to give it today to, I still think Tampa's the favorite based on what they've done without Kucherov. But there's 4 or 5, like we said, there's 5 teams playing great hockey right now.
Pietrangelo still probably feeling his way out a little bit. And it may take a while still, Mac. He might even be a little, looking down at the crest and not seeing a blue note, seeing a night. So
it's a big change.
It's a big change. He was on the ice for probably all but 3 minutes of Nathan McKinnon, a 1-0 shutout win. Marc-Andre Fleury's 63rd career shutout, Mac.
30 saves.
30 saves. He has not, I don't think he's given up 2 goals in the last 9 or 10 periods. He's been that good.
I think Berkey and Hexy are going to have their hands full of getting him.
I think Bob McKenzie went on NBC and mentioned that in the last 2 weeks that they have inquired about Marc-Andre Fleury, and we've discussed this last week as well.
Why are we always a week ahead of these guys?
That's because you're really good. That's why. But Mac, you can't trade Marc-Andre Fleury right now if you're Vegas when you don't know exactly, when you're not sure about Robin Lehner.
No, you can't. There's not a snowball's chance you can. But more than that, what happens if Lehner comes back and starts to play? Can you trust the fact that he's going to do it all through the playoffs? Look, you're supposed to challenge for the Stanley Cup. So can you put your trust in him? Look, he was great when he came there last year. He was great in Chicago. He was great on the island. He was great when he came to Vegas. He was awful in Buffalo with a bad team. Look, I don't know if you can say we're going to go with Lehner and a young backup. I think that's scary if you're a Stanley Cup contender, which they are. So I don't see how they can even consider moving Fleury. Matter of fact, there's not a chance they're going to right now.
Well,
not a chance.
Mac, if they do get the offer that they like, they're able to alleviate some pressure on the cap. In many ways, didn't you make your decision on a $25 million commitment to this guy? Could you change your mind? Could you even find a way to move him?
No. I think that's really challenging to move that. How are you going to move a $25 million contract today? Is there some teams that need goaltending? I guess I watched the Washington Capitals yesterday. They look like they could use some goaltending. But how do you move that? Yeah. And especially when there's rumors out there about, what's going on here with them. Whether it's conditioning, injuries,
yeah, well, Mac,
nobody
listen,
knows. Shoulder, nobody knows.
We can just take it for face value right now, and this is just us talking, and this is just us speculating. We don't know, if it's an upper body injury. It's an upper body injury.
Right.
But we do know that the history's there, and you've got to also consider other different things that are going on with him right now. But we wish him the best of luck, and it is what it is right now. But there's no question that Marc-Andre Fleury is coming in and doing what everybody thought that he could still do and play at a high level.
Yeah.
And Vegas, as I said, on face value, I look at this team and finding different ways to win, and they're right there, Mac. They are right there.
Yeah, and look, Pietrangelo is one acquisition. The Stone acquisition a couple of years ago from Ottawa has been. I mean, this guy. I mean, he steals pucks. He makes plays. He's so strong on the puck. I mean, this guy is a value. Is he maybe one of the most valuable forwards in the league right now?
Yes.
With the way this is a 6th-round pick or something for the Ottawa Senators, who has turned himself into a superstar. So full marks. Management did a good job there. So that is the team we don't ever talk about or ever hear about is Tampa Bay, the defending Stanley Cup champs. They don't have Stamkos is back. They don't have Kucherov, and they just keep rolling. And goaltending spectacular, deep on the back end. Not so deep, but they got a good 5 there and a top 5-6 back end, and their forward group is spectacular. So they just keep humming along, and nobody seems to talk about them, but they're that good. They're still that good.
So are your Bruins, and that's a team, Mac, that we all speculated that would find a way to add, and they did leave themselves some wiggle room in terms of their cap scenario, and perhaps have a little bit more flexibility than other clubs here, and they haven't used it yet. And that to me is very interesting. And I would have thought at some point that we would have seen them add a little bit, if not in the offseason, the first week or two, and it hasn't happened yet. Are they keeping their powder dry right now?
Well, I think that,
or there's a theory out there that ownership group doesn't want to commit any more money to the season. There was even also some speculation and talk that, out of all the teams that didn't want to play this year for no other reason than we'll lose less money not playing than playing. It's an interesting dynamic in Boston on whether or not we'll see this team add.
They picked up Craig Smith, and he's been a nice acquisition for them. They've hardly scored. Their center ice have hardly scored a 5-on-5 goal. I mean, you look at Bergeron, you look at Krejci, you look at Coyle. They've hardly scored a 5-on-5 goal, and yet their power play is unbelievable. Their bottom 6. I know you bug me about Corrali all the time, but this guy's so damn important. I'm telling you, the way he plays 5-on-5, head-to-head. Coyle's been a valuable guy. From their bottom guys have been really valuable for them. And they don't lose. They play hard. They're hard to play against. I thought they would drop off. I picked them to win that division, but I was a little nervous. But they have been very good. Their 5-on-5 scoring bothers me a little bit. That's the only thing I've got some concern about.
Well, your best players have to be your best players, and we've seen that in Vegas with Stone and Marc-Andre Fleury. We're seeing it with Marchand and Bergeron.
Pasternak's a friggin' star.
I did question whether or not Tuukka Rask could come back and win people over, win fans over. He's done a pretty outstanding job so far. Of course, there is a lot of speculation, Mac, on where it'll go after this season, but I'm not going to sit here and start, speculating that. Let's just stay in the here and now with Tuukka. But they seem to be poised to take another run at this. Now, they were also linked to Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and the feeling is that when he was being shopped and available, the two places that he would have liked to ended up was, one of them was Vancouver and the other one was Boston. And I'm just wondering, Mac, as we continue to go on, and we'll discuss Arizona a little later, maybe if you want, and what a
No, I
terrific.
don't want to.
Well,
I don't want to.
No, but I think what needs to be said is that we know they're in dire straits when it comes to a financial situation there, Mac, but they've also done a great job of squeezing blood out of a stone there. I think Rick Tocchet has done a terrific job, and they're a team that Mac could certainly, I think, after this quarter mark, continue to push and keep themselves in the mix for a playoff spot. That's kind of how impressive I've been with what Rick Tocchet's been able to do. But just to go back to Boston a little bit, I think Ekman Larsson's going to be a name that we hear a little bit more about as we continue to get to, I think, an April trade deadline. I don't think it's dead by any stretch. Yeah. And I'm just wondering, would Boston be keeping their powder dry for a guy like Ekman Larsson?
Well, you know what? Lausanne has come in and surprised me the way he's played. They've used Zaboral as well as two young guys on their back end, and both of them have been okay. McAvoy has been great. Grzelcyk has been an important guy for them. They've got Miller has been healthy and has played pretty solid for them. Do they need Ekman Larsson? You know what? Ekman Larsson, I thought Ekman Larsson was going to be a Norris Trophy winner, perennial candidate for the Norris. I don't know. I mean, what are you going to give to get Ekman Larsson with what? I mean, I don't know.
It's a different world. I don't think it's much anymore when you're talking about moving contracts out and alleviating a financial burden, if that's the case now in Arizona on his contract.
But is he good? Is he a star?
Yeah, he's good, Mac. He's good.
I know he's good.
And he could get,
is he $8 million good?
He could get some new juice in a hockey market. I mean, think about this guy over the course of his playing days in Arizona, where it's always the same feel that we may not make the playoffs and it's not a playoff atmosphere, and now you go from that to Boston.
So why
it might
does
be enough?
Why does he only give two teams that he'll go to then if he's got these juices flowing that he wants to go somewhere? Give them 10 teams for Christ's sake. Come on. I don't know how bad.
That's not the way no moves work, Mac.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, like if it's a personal decision, Mac, then he's earned the right for it.
No, I don't think.
And there could be reasons. There'll be reasons that you don't see or the public sees on the surface, and that's fine.
That's fine.
Not your business, Mac.
If you're tired of playing in a situation where you're always worried about the financial future and who's the next owner going to be and all this stuff, why wouldn't you make it a little easier for them to move you? Seriously, if you really want to play on a contending team. I don't get that. So I know he's got the no movement. I understand all that.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why he doesn't say, hey, maybe I'd like to have a chance to win a Stanley Cup. I heard Vancouver, that's one of the reasons they were hesitant to do things. They thought they had a real good chance to get him, and they're hoping to be able to sign him. But I don't know.
Okay, we mentioned Tampa Bay, we mentioned Vegas, Boston. The other team that has certainly come out of the gate strong up in the north, with Montreal kind of faltering a little bit in the last week and a half, are the Toronto Maple Leafs. And of course, we teed up the Saturday game, Mac, as not a must-win for Montreal, but in many ways a must-win to keep the perception that they're a lot closer to Toronto than maybe what people would have thought at the beginning of this season. So they come up with the win. instead of a 7-point gap, it's a 4-point gap, but it looked like a 7-point gap much of the 2/3 of the game. And Montreal found a way to come back on a late goal by Brendan Gallagher. But the Leafs overall, Mac, out of these 14 or 15 games to start the season, have shown enough to say that this isn't the same old with the Toronto Maple Leafs, that they've gone to another level. How far, we're not 100% sure, but we've seen enough in this quarter season to say they're gonna keep other teams on their toes.
Well, I think the only thing, and I agree with everything you say, but I am really, really floored by how bad the Canadian division is. I really am. I mean, I was very excited about the Canadian division, about watching these teams go at each other, the Battle of Alberta, the Vancouver-Calgary rivalry, the Toronto-Montreal. I'm sorry, but besides Toronto and Montreal, I mean, Winnipeg is in and out. Calgary, I don't know Calgary didn't show up in Vancouver the other night. Vancouver have struggled.
All right. Don't get off topic. Let's just hold on.
So I'm saying, what I'm saying is Toronto that good, or is the other teams that bad? That's what I'm saying.
We did talk. We don't know.
Well. We don't know.
We don't know. But This is what we know, Mac. We know for sure Austin Matthews is taking his game to another level. That we know for sure. And it's just not the offense, but defensively, 200. He's a lot. He's a big, strong guy, Mac, and we're starting to see that more and more, that this guy and linked with Marner are as good as any in the league right now. They scare the shit out of opponents.
Okay. If they're going against Tampa and Boston in the old Atlantic, how dominant are they?
Well, we won't find that out, unfortunately, with this dumb schedule.
So
but
it doesn't matter. They're really playing. They're playing better defensively. Matthews has been a treat to watch. Marner has been special to watch. Their blue line has been better than I expected it to be. Freddie Anderson has been better than Freddie Anderson's always great in the regular season, in my opinion. And, Nylander sort of slipped a little recently. Is he going to get it going again? He probably will. He's a good player. So, they deserve some love. There's no doubt about that.
I think the one thing that I did get out of that game Saturday night, Mac, was that it was crystal clear for the Montreal Canadiens how they wanted to play them. I think they out-hit them, I don't know, something ridiculous.
3-1
in the first period, but then it ended up being 41, I think, hits, 46, somewhere around there, to 16 for the Leafs.
Yeah.
I think Craig Simpson talked a little bit about the difference of hits. I think when the Leafs were up 1-0, and probably thought that it was maybe a bigger deal than it really looked on the ice or on paper. And much like someone taking a sledgehammer to a boulder, you can hit it 999 times and it doesn't look like it made a dent, but then you hit it the 1000th time and the thing cracks. And I think that was Montreal's philosophy here with finishing checks. And for sure, the way I saw it, it took a toll on Toronto. And if it's one thing that Montreal showed, is that you can still be physical against this team and maybe have it pay off for you a little bit. Now, no Wayne Simmons. Is that enough? Is he a difference maker enough to back off the Montreal Canadiens? Not sure 5-on-5, but it is what it is. But at least they got a payoff for all those checks that they finished Saturday night.
Yeah, and they were desperate. They're off for a week. They desperately needed that win. The difference for me was Carey Price. Carey Price, to me, has not been very good. I'm sorry, $10 million man, the greatest goaltender in the modern era. And I'm sorry, he has not been he's been above average, but he certainly hasn't been great. In that particular game, he was the Carey Price that they need, that the Montreal Canadiens need Carey Price to be like he was in that game, point blank saves on Matthews and company. That's what they need from Carey Price, not where he's just as good as Jake Allen. He needs to be a lot better than that, and he was in that game.
Yeah, as soon as Toronto scored that first goal, I think Philip Deneau got totally out-muscled or outsmarted or outsticked, whatever you want to say. Matthew stole the puck off of him basically and set up Marner on that first goal. I think it kind of caught Carey and everyone off.
Yep.
But after that, he did everything to say, that's it. I'm shutting the door right now. And you still haven't seen that as well as Montreal's come out of the gate. You haven't seen Carey come out of third gear yet.
When have we seen Carey come out of second or third gear in the last number of years? When have we seen it?
Yeah. Not as often as Montreal fans would like to see for $10 million.
That's right. And I full marks, he's got a better team in front of him. He's got a much better blue line in front of him. There's no excuses. Sorry. If he's not a star and he doesn't lead them, that is a little bit scary for them. And we know how good. I remember watching him in New York in the Ranger Montreal series. Remember he got run over. Who was it? Kreider ran over him.
Yeah.
And he was out in that series. Taharski comes in and has to play goal for them. So I'm just saying, when has he been Carey Price, the superstar goaltender? They need him right now to be.
Yeah, they need him. And, the other thing is when we talk about Montreal, Mac, what was kind of apparent is that they're not Suzuki and KK, Kotkaniemi, not quite ready to go up against a Matthews and a Tavares just yet up the middle of the ice.
No, they're not. They're young still. We said at the start of the season, the center ice youth was a bit of a concern. Deneau, he's been in and out, but he's pretty solid defensively. Hasn't been able to put up any numbers, but he's certainly solid defensively. They're a pretty immature center ice group to be a contender. That's for sure. They're good, talented. You'll love to have them, but that would make me a little bit nervous, the experience down the middle. And how do you find somebody? Now, all these, maybe they're going to get Sid Crosby. All those rumors of Sid Crosby going there, maybe that's going to happen. Berkey's going to trade Sid. God.
We'll get into the first appearance of Brian Burke and Ron Hextall in Pittsburgh. Don't worry, we'll get into that. But now you get a chance to maybe go do your little circuit across Canada here. And where do you want to start? Calgary? Why don't we start in Vancouver, Mac, where Aquilini, the owner of the Vancouver Canucks, tweeted on the weekend, Jim Benning and Travis aren't going anywhere. Then they come out with one of their best efforts of the season. A coincidence, not a coincidence. Take it for face value that's what was needed at the time by Aquilini to kind of settle his organization down. Whatever it was, it worked even temporarily.
They played the perfect game. If you're the coach of the Vancouver Canucks, you walk out of that rink saying, I don't know how my team could play any better than they played. I think with the shots like 28-7 at one point, Calgary were a no-show. They didn't show up. It was still a close game score-wise, but it wasn't even close. So the big guys played well. Their defense was better. Their goaltending made some big saves. And look, they've worked hard lately. Travis Green has worked hard lately to try to fix some issues here. I was so disappointed in Calgary in that game. I know they won the previous one. They've beaten them 3 or 4 times. Markstrom has stood on his head. Calgary do not look very good to me right now. And what is going on there? I mean, Gaudreau has been real good. Matthew Tkachuk, who I've been an unbelievable, I love this kid. I love the way he plays. I haven't seen the same Matthew Tkachuk the last few times I've watched.
You're bouncing.
I'm bouncing.
You're like an NBA game right now. Could you just dribble in one spot right now and not cover the whole floor?
Looked great. Calgary looked like shit. That's bottom line.
Now, I would assume if you're Aquilini, you wouldn't have wanted to come out with that tweet to reinforce your decision to stay loyal to Benning and Green this early in the season, Mac. So you know that market pretty well. We all know that market pretty well. Is that enough now to just kind of squash it moving forward? Because there's 2 schools of thought. That one of them is that, it's a money scenario. If he could make a change tomorrow, if everything was the way it used to be, maybe he would make a change right now. But, is money tight enough, even for billionaires who don't like to lose one dime? Is it enough to sit there and say, why would I get rid of these guys, bring somebody else and pay them too? It makes no sense. So is that part of the equation? Because
I think part of the equation is if you really step back and look at the Vancouver Canucks, you say, okay, just a minute. Pettersson's going to be a star. Hughes is going to be a star. Horvat's going to be a great character leader, second line guy. Besser's going to be a scorer. I think Demko looks like he has a chance to be a good. I think there's some positives there. I don't think it's a dire situation. Sure, they could use a couple of defensemen. I get that. I don't think it's a horrible situation. And I think that you just step back and you say, hey, it's not that bad. We're making some progress here.
That's fine. But you know that fan base.
I know.
And
they're tough.
As much as you want to sit there and think that it'll calm down now, this team's 2 or 3 losses away from having all that crap brought to the surface again. Right. And the hashtag Fire Benning is going to be the leader in all of it on social media in the hockey world. So even Aquilini's vote of confidence might be not enough if they continue to kind of go down the path that they started weeks ago.
Well, what it's going to be is the next couple of games, because it looks to me like they've started to turn their corner with their play. So what happens in this next couple of games? Are they going to move ahead of Calgary in the standings? Are they right there with Winnipeg with a couple of more wins? Or are they going to drop off and end up battling with Ottawa? That's the scary part, and you just don't know.
They end up, like I'm telling you, they're going to go nuts in Vancouver.
I know they are.
You're telling me that they're going to be in a battle with Ottawa.
Well, hey, if they trend the way they were before the last couple of games, I mean, they started to play a little better in Toronto. But look, I don't know. I mean, if they beat Calgary in the next game, they're right there with the Flames, and then the fans are saying, hey, we're going to finish in, 4th. We have a chance. But I know how tough they are in Vancouver. They're good hockey fans. And there's been some good things happen in Vancouver. Having that little run last year in the playoffs got them juiced up. They expected to be a good team, and then they have a horrible summer of losing 5 regulars. Even a guy like Sketcher is a loss. Taneff's a loss. Markstrom's a loss.
Yeah.
Toffoli. These aren't 4 or 5 average players. These are good, important players.
Talking about a quarter of their roster. That's what we're talking about.
That is some serious deletions from your lineup.
Okay, so now that
it'll all come back too if they stumble.
you're on this roll right now in the North Division. So tell me why Calgary is making me look bad, because I had Toronto and Calgary. I didn't have Montreal right there in second. There's no real reason why Calgary should be as inconsistent as they are.
Hey, if it's not for Markstrom, where are they? Where are they if it's not for Markstrom? Goudreau has been putting up points. Goudreau has been good. Monahan's been putting up some points. Lindholm. Giordano looks fresher, looks better. Their defense is young, but they're playing pretty well. Matthew Tkachuk is an issue, a little bit of a concern for me. Am I wrong? There's some nights when
there's some nights in some games where you just don't see that edge out of him, and it's hard. I guess it's hard to bring it every night in an empty building, I guess. I don't know.
Against the same teams, it gets maybe harder to bring it every night. You know what I'm saying? And I love the way this guy plays. It hit me the other day where I'm thinking like, geez, I'm not seeing I'm not seeing as much as I saw 2 or 3 weeks ago from him. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not watching them every night like some people are, but they've got to get him. They've got to get him going somehow, some way.
We talk about Vegas and their group of forwards, Mac, and I look at Backlund, Mangiapane, and Lucic. They haven't exactly disappointed either. I mean, this is a fairly deep team of forwards here, Mac, and now I look at Sam Bennett, and we've heard his name being bantered around trade talk, Mac. You're kind of caught. Now, you play general manager of whatever team you want, and you call up Tree Living, and you say, I want to take Sam Bennett, okay? How do you trade for a guy like Sam Bennett? Because you see him as a pretty versatile second, third line guy, because that's the way he's been using him. Okay. Third line, pretty much third line. If you need to move him up, you can move him up. You can score the odd goal, but come playoff time, I can see him running over a few people and hurrying up a lot of defense to make that pass when they don't want to make that pass.
Okay. But they can't move him in Canada. They cannot move him in Canada.
How can I trade for you when I see him as a guy that can move up in the lineup, and you're trading him as if he's still a top 5 pick?
It's a tough trade to make, but I'm telling you this, they cannot trade him in Canada. I mean,
well,
who could use him? Could
Toronto
Philadelphia use him?
No, yeah, Toronto in Canada, Toronto would love to take him off their hands, right? But you're crazy if you're Tree Living.
Yeah, you're totally crazy if you do that. Totally crazy if you do that. And Toronto could use him. I mean, I still am concerned about Toronto's third line in playoff time. Kerfoot, he's a good little player. He's a valuable little guy. I just don't see him as a real valuable playoff type guy. So, I mean, they need some more grit in that area, and especially a guy like Bennett who can move up and down the lineup. But they're nuts to trade him to Toronto. They're nuts to.
Well, unless you get the offer that you want.
Yeah.
So,
and who are you getting? Dermott?
No, that's not enough.
Exactly.
It's not enough for Calgary. Dermott
isn't enough.
Even if you think Dermott can one day be a 3, 4, 5, I don't think it's enough right now. But Leafs got to give up future to get Sam Bennett to try to win now, which means that if I'm Tree Living, I want Nick Robertson.
That's exactly who I was going to say.
Okay. You give me Nick Robertson and you throw in Kerfoot. If you throw in Kerfoot, then I can get Lindholm out of that. I can put him back on the wings, and then I got Monahan, Backlund, and Kerfoot. All of a sudden, I think I look a little better. Now, you got to move money in and money out, but that's the type of trade. So if you give me Dermott, or if you give me Kerfoot and Nick Robertson, I give you Sam Bennett.
And Toronto's not doing that.
Why? You got to win now. Why aren't you doing that now?
Because Nick Robertson, they think, is going to be a star for them.
When?
Yeah. I don't know when. I've had a lot of guys who are going to be stars too.
That's where Kyle Dubas has got to figure it out. Win now.
Well, they're moving into that phase. This is a whole new phase for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They've been building with the Shanny plan, and now that the Shanny plan is now moving into the next phase of playoff progression. That's what it is. And that's when you get into that phase, that's when you make the type of deals you're talking about. Now, are they ready to do that? It'll be interesting to see.
Let me ask you something as a general manager. It's a lot easier to trade other picks. Do you get emotionally attached? Like, would Kyle Dubas be emotionally attached to Nick Robertson? Much more so than if it was, say, Lou's pick.
Yeah.
Does that happen?
You do. You do become emotionally attached for sure.
It's harder to give up your own picks, right? Because you want to see the end result.
I remember getting a call from Dave Nonis, and we had just drafted Gilbert Brule, who was the Sidney Crosby of Western Canada. I mean, he was that good, Gilbert Brule. And I remember getting a call from Dave Nonis. Would I consider trading Gilbert Brule, who Vancouver desperately wanted, for Corey Schneider? Corey Schneider was a star goaltender in college at the time. Then I think with how Gilbert's career, with injuries, concussions, and broken leg and whatever contributed to it, and I watched Corey Schneider become a star in the NHL, although it's dropped like a rock in the last couple of years, but though you're attached to those type of things. The point I'm making is it's a little tougher. Now, I had a chance to trade Zherdev for Brendan Morrow, and I was doing that all day long because I was sick of him. So you like some of your picks, and some you get really sick of too in a hurry.
Yeah. Well,
so it was fun.
How many of your picks did you have to put a detective on them? Tell us that story.
Well, poor Zherdev was busy. He was busy after he left the rink, so I had to hire a private investigator to follow him. The private investigator came in after, I think it was 3 days. He came in, he said, I don't know how he's getting out of his condo, but he's getting out of it. I can't follow.
How much does that go on? All the time? Are guys being followed and they don't know it?
I don't. I mean, I only did it once. So I don't know. I mean, I have no idea how often it goes on, but oh my God. As I told you, I got a call. He had an apartment in Nationwide Insurance, beautiful high-rise apartment right next to the arena. And I get a call from the Nationwide real estate people saying, Doug, is there some reason we've had to change Zherdev's locks 7 times in his apartment this year? He's kicked the door in and broken the lock 7 times in his apartment.
Jeez.
Oh God, it was so much fun.
So, like, what do? Do you just you go find the yellow pages and detective? like how do you even? Where do you even go? You go to your security guy. He's not good enough. You got to go hire a detective.
No, you go to your security guy. Who every team has a team security guy that looks after all kinds of things, and he finds you the private eye, private investigator.
Should have got somebody. Are there no Charlie's Angels out there? I mean,
if I would have been able to hire Charlie's Angels, Zherdev would have found them. Anyway, it was a lot of fun.
Jeez.
A lot of sleepless nights, man, but a lot of fun.
And you didn't win the Stanley Cup, eh?
What?
Wow. And you didn't win the Stanley Cup.
No, I don't know why.
I don't know why either.
So, Doug, was it fun in the moment and funny in the moment, or in
No.
hindsight as you look back? It
was goddamn torture is what it was. It was torture.
Nothing funny.
I remember waking up in the mornings and I'd be laying in bed and I felt like I had horse blinders on my face. Like seriously, is there going to be light today or what? Do I have to get out of bed today?
Oh my!
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Oh, we had fun. But
people have no idea.
You wouldn't trade it for the world.
People have no idea what.
No idea.
Hey, management does to find out about what's going on off the ice.
You're dealing with 20 to 33-year-old, 35-year-olds, and you know what? That are making a lot of money, and you know what? It's a unique situation. It really is. I talked to a president of a team yesterday, and he said, we were talking about the role, the general manager role today, and he said, man, oh man, it is changing weekly, the general manager role. It is it's such a complex job now. And I don't disagree with that,
Which means what, Mac? You got to be a psychologist. You got to know these guys on and off the ice, what makes them tick, the issues, what they're passionate about. Like what?
You number one is you got to deal with your owner. Number one.
Yeah.
Not an easy job. The next thing is
or your president of hockey ops.
Or your president of hockey ops. You got to deal with that. Then you've got to deal with salary cap. Then you've got to deal with the people in the dressing room. Then you got to deal with the coach. Then you got to deal with the train. I mean, we had to deal with all those things, but it just seems now that players, I mean, I don't know. I just think it's a tougher job. I really do. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it makes a whole heck of a lot of sense. And it is harder than it's ever been before. And we do know that, I mean, I went to the rink, and on off days, we went from practice to have a lunch and 15 beers.
Yeah.
Mac. That was as complex as we got.
No,
Today, it's much different.
It's much different. It is much different. And it's, I mean, as somebody said the other day about Tom Brady, he only eats salad. So how could he have that much strength to play those games? I mean, the way they look after their bodies, the training, it's complex, but still you've got to be a hockey guy. You've got to make it. You talk about Tree Living making that trade and Dubas making that trade. Still, the number one thing you have to be is build your team to win in the playoffs. That's your number one thing.
Well,
with all the other BS and all the other issues you have to deal with, the number one job of the GM is to build a team that can win at playoff time.
Okay. Well, that takes us right into Pittsburgh, because we know that Brian Burke and Ron Hextall took in their first game as in their respective roles. 6-3, couple empty netters against the Washington Capitals. Capitals don't look very good right now. I think they've lost 4. And that was a game that I think they should feel okay about. Watching a win's a win. They got to win now, Mac. But whether or not DeSmith or Jari's going to be enough when it's all said and done, like we said earlier in the show, Bob McKenzie talking about Pittsburgh reaching out to Vegas about Marc-Andre Fleury. Is there anyone else out there that could answer the call? Do they want to wait? Do they want to move forward? It's going to be tough, Mac. They don't have anything in the cupboards when it comes to prospects. They don't have a lot of picks. They don't have a lot of draft picks. I think if you look over the course of their last 41, somebody mentioned to me their last 40 draft picks, only 3 have played.
Unbelievable.
That's Jari, Jari Kapanen and
who they traded, and got back.
And Gensel.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Marino's
a college kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So you know what? It's going to be a really tough job. Sid looks a little bit rejuvenated. Letang looks a little bit better. Marino looks a little bit better. Jari is feeling some pressure because all the goalie talk.
But it's funny to hear you talk about Sid and all of a sudden, and you know what? There are rumors out there, and there's always going to be speculation. And we're not. What's your famous line, Mac? We're not telling you what's true. We're just telling you what we hear. No. So you said Crosby to Montreal. There's been links of Malkin to Florida for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, look, those are going to be monumental decisions that Ron Hextall and Brian Burke are going to have to deal with at the end of the season. What do they do? And they will be as tough a decisions as you could make. Talk about pressure moves, but you know, right now they're hanging in. Washington have lost 4 or 5 in a row. They don't look great. Philly is up and down, in and out. You know what? The Islanders are not hitting on all cylinders. You know, right now they're tied in points, Pitt and the Island. Nobody's jumping out and grabbing it, so they're right there. So they could, in fact, have a good playoff. You know, they could.
Well, Washington seems to be at a bit of a loss right now, and
the goaltending is awful.
Could Craig Anderson? I don't think they ever planned on Craig Anderson seeing the light of day anywhere, but you might be at the point now where you got to put him in.
Well, this guy that played yesterday, good grief! They had a better chance when the net was empty.
Well,
when they pulled their goalie, I know the Pitt scored 2 empty nets, but good grief! I mean, he was horrible. He's young. I get that. Samsonov, they sent down to Hershey. Like, what the hell is going on with their goaltending? So, yeah, put Craig in. I mean, he's played, what, a half a game?
It's really hard. It's got to be hard when you think that you're a contending team and you're built to win now, yet you've left this little hole in net.
Like, they walked away from Holtby like it was, you know, it was one and done. You know, I mean, Holtby was I know.
Not sure. I think that they lost faith no matter what, Mac and Holtby.
I know they did, but you got to make sure that you've got better people.
Right.
And I haven't seen it yet. We probably, you know, I mean, Samsonov, you know, how's he going to be? You know, who knows?
Yeah. All right. Anywhere else you want to go? Joe and Jordan, you guys okay? It's all good?
Yeah, so from Newman's surprise appearance, we owe them a Q&A this week, so I've been compiling some questions, thinking that we'll do that on Wednesday maybe. How are you guys feeling today? Do you want to do it at the end of the show today or compile a list for Wednesday? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Wednesday sounds good.
Cool.
Wednesday sounds good. Mac, you're okay? You're breathing okay?
I'm good. I'm Friday. I'm not going to be here. I have to go in for my vaccine, so I apologize, but I won't be available Friday.
Nice.
As much as I'd like to talk to you guys, I'd rather get the vaccine.
That's your second dose, right? You'll be close to the tunnel, the light.
That's my second dose.
Congrats, man. I'm jealous. So yeah, get your questions in chat. Tag us. You could send them to Kyper. You could send them to Doug. We'll check Twitter throughout the next couple days, and we'll compile them, and we'll have a nice little Q&A for you on Wednesday.
And they've earned it, Jordan. Right? They've earned it.
Hell yeah.
That's probably 250 likes.
I think the show over the weekend, right? Over the weekend, I think for the people not live, I'll check right now, but I think we were at like 340 likes for the last, 384 likes for the last video. And,
wow, and we didn't even mention likes today on the show. We didn't even mention them at all.
At 79 today. So that's what we're trying to do here. We come every day. We come a couple times a week. We try to give you a good place to hang out. And basically you hitting that like button helps us get to more people. It shows YouTube that out of the 269 of you that are here hanging out, X amount of you are enjoying yourself. And that's really the goal here.
Mac, can't believe it. People are enjoying you.
Nobody said they're enjoying me. They're enjoying the show.
Oh, okay.
We had
yeah,
Jeremiah in chat today say that your stories today was his favorite moment yet since episode 1. He's been here since the very beginning, so kudos to you.
My stories, he hasn't heard anything. He should meet me in a bar some night if he wants to hear real stories.
Mac, all the time that we've known each other, you didn't have me follow, did you?
No, I didn't. No. Budge.
Ike?
I'm not
Ike
saying
Corvo?
anything. Ike Corvo.
Steve
no,
Leach?
No, we should have
Rob
had
Murray?
We should have had a couple of you followed one night in Washington, but we didn't.
No.
Yeah.
No. I did mention that in the book a little bit.
Yeah,
A very, very traumatic experience for me.
What was that? Did you ever? You're gonna have to tell the Kentucky Fried Chicken story.
No,
some night.
it's in the book. It's
Is
in
it?
the book. It's in the book. Yes.
Okay, great.
It's in the book. Thanks for leaving our Monday on that note, by the way. Really appreciate it.
Okay, I love.
All right,
breasts.
Mac. Good job today.
Okay,
Quarter
man.
mark. Mac's got Tampa Bay as the top team so far.
Wow.
As we hit the second quarter mark. I've got I went with Vegas, Mac.
Yeah.
Despite a few hiccups here and there, they look like a team that's still ready to make some noise early in their history.
Yep.
All right, pal. Really appreciate it. Enjoy 82-degree weather while we all freeze our asses off everywhere else.
Take care, guys.
All right, Doug Maclean out of Florida. And that wraps up episode 78 here on the Real Kyper at Noon show. Thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate the likes. Those of you that subscribe, thanks for being loyal watchers. For those just tuning in now, maybe for the first time, send us your comments. Let us know how much you appreciate the show. Jordan and Joe do a terrific job as well. So until Wednesday, when we start taking some of your questions, we hope you keep it safe. Have a great day, everybody.